The rain lashed against the attic window, each drop a desperate claw scraping at the glass. Below, in the cavernous, dust-choked space, Amelia huddled, her breath misting in the frigid air. She was hunting ghosts, or rather, the proof of them. Her late grandmother's diary had spoken of the weeping lady of Blackwood Manor, a spectral presence tied to a forgotten music box. Amelia, a skeptic, had dismissed it as senile ramblings, until she found the manor's address tucked within the diary's brittle pages. Now, hours into her search, the house felt less like an abandoned relic and more like a living, breathing entity, its every creak and groan a whispered threat. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something faintly metallic, like old blood. A sudden, sharp clang echoed from the floor below, sending a jolt of pure terror through her. She froze, clutching her flashlight, its beam a weak shield against the encroaching darkness. Her grandmother's diary had mentioned strange noises, the sound of chains dragging in the silence. Determined to find the music box and debunk the legend, Amelia descended the rickety attic stairs. Each step groaned under her weight, a prelude to the horrors she was about to unearth. The second floor was a labyrinth of decaying bedrooms, each one colder than the last. In the master bedroom, she found it. On a vanity table, half hidden beneath a shroud of dust, sat a small, intricately carved wooden box. It was black lacquer, adorned with silver filigree that depicted weeping figures and twisted vines. This had to be it. As her fingers brushed against its cold surface, a faint, almost inaudible melody began to play from within. It was a haunting, melancholic tune, slow and mournful, like a lullaby sung in a graveyard. And then, a breath, cold and stale, ghosted across her neck. Amelia whirled around, flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. Nothing. Just the shadows, stretching and twisting into grotesque shapes in the periphery of her vision. But the music intensified, becoming clearer, sharper. It felt like it was playing inside her head. A low, guttural moan filled the room, a sound that seemed to emanate from the very walls, vibrating through the floorboards and up into her teeth. The air grew heavy, pressing down on her, stealing her breath. A wave of profound sorrow washed over her, an unbearable grief that wasn't her own. She felt tears welling in her eyes, uncontrollable and inexplicable. Then, a whisper, right beside her ear, barely audible over the music, asterisk, she took, my children. Asterisk. Amelia stumbled back, her flashlight clattering to the floor, plunging the room into near darkness. The music box continued its mournful tune, a beacon of terror in the suffocating black. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a desperate drumbeat in the face of the encroaching horror. A shape began to coalesce in the deepest corner of the room, behind the tattered remains of a four-poster bed. It was faint at first, like smoke, but slowly, agonizingly, it solidified. A woman. Tall, impossibly thin, dressed in what appeared to be a decaying white gown, shimmering with a phosphorescent glow. Her long, matted black hair hung over her face, obscuring it. But Amelia could feel her gaze, a glacial stare that pierced her to the bone. The weeping lady. The music box's melody twisted, growing discordant, sharp notes grating against her ears. The woman began to move, gliding rather than walking, across the room. She didn't make a sound, but the air around her crackled with a chilling energy, and the metallic scent of old blood intensified, now tinged with the sickly sweet odor of decay. As the figure drew closer, she slowly raised her head. Amelia gasped, a silent scream trapped in her throat. The woman's face was a skeletal ruin, skin like stretched leather, eyes sunken and devoid of life. But it was her mouth that truly horrified. It was permanently open in a silent, agonizing wail, twisted into a rictus of eternal despair. And from those empty sockets, a single, black tear trickled down each cheek, leaving a glistening, viscous trail. The weeping lady stopped mere feet from Amelia, her spectral form shimmering. Her skeletal hands, long and skeletal, reached out, not to touch, but to gesture towards something behind Amelia. Amelia was paralyzed by fear, but her eyes, wide with terror, followed the gesture. On the wall, where a portrait once hung, now appeared a shifting, spectral image. It was a scene, playing out in ghastly detail, a child's cradle, empty, a woman, her face contorted in agony, being dragged away by unseen forces, and then, the image of a small, wooden music box, identical to the one on the vanity, being forcibly closed, muffling the sounds of weeping. The vision flickered, and the weeping lady let out a sound that was not a scream, but a profound, ancient sob that resonated through the very foundations of the house, rattling Amelia's teeth. It was a sound of unbearable loss, of a mother's eternal anguish. They took them all, the whisper came again, closer now, a cold breath directly on her lips. Asterisk, entrapped, my song. Asterisk. The music box on the vanity table, still playing its twisted tune, began to vibrate violently. The silver filigree on its surface seemed to pulse with a malevolent light. And as Amelia stared, mesmerized by the horror, the tiny, carved weeping figures on the box slowly, impossibly, began to move, their miniature faces contorting in silent agony. The weeping lady's spectral hands, still outstretched, began to tremble. Her head tilted, as if listening to something only she could hear. And then, her hollow eyes, filled with the black tears, fixed on Amelia with an intensity that promised eternal torment. You hear my pain, she whispered, her voice a fragile, brittle thing. Asterisk, now, you will share my song. Asterisk. Before Amelia could react, before she could even summon a whimper of protest, the spectral hands lunged. They didn't touch her, but passed through her, a wave of frigid, soul-numbing despair washing over her. She felt an unbearable weight press into her chest, her lungs seizing, her heart constricting. Her vision blurred. The room spun. The last thing she saw was the weeping lady's eternally open mouth, now stretched into a silent, triumphant shriek, and the music box on the vanity table, its melody suddenly sharp, deafening, and undeniably inside her. The next morning, the local police, alerted by a frantic phone call from Amelia's friend, found Blackwood Manor eerily silent. In the master bedroom, on the dusty vanity table, sat a black lacquer music box, its silver filigree depicting weeping figures. It was closed. And beside it, sprawled on the floor, was Amelia. Her eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling, unseeing. Her face was pale, contorted in a silent scream. And from her vacant eye sockets, a single, black tear slowly trickled down each cheek, leaving a glistening, viscous trail. The music box remained silent. But if you listened very, very closely, a faint, melancholic tune could be heard, playing from somewhere deep within the old manor, forever trapped within its walls.